Hello and welcome back for game number 3 of the Oceanic Challenger Series, week number 3, 2019. Couple under our belts so far, some interesting stuff. A lot more even than maybe we would have expected, but how you feeling so far?
I'm feeling really keen. Like, I'm a little sad that we're already a third of the way through. Like, I just want to go all night long at this stage.
What's the longest game of League of Legends you've ever cast?
Okay. It was late in the day as well. So I did like one of those. It was a tournament that lasted all day. I think it was like 32 teams or something.
Oh, yeah, like a big bracket.
Yeah, big tournament, big bracket thing. And then semifinals and finals were 2 out of 3. So it was game 3 of a semifinal after a long day.
Oh, no.
74-minute game.
Oh.
And
yikes.
all I remember really from that was, I think it was like season 4 or 5 or something, but it was
damn, okay, that's
it was
like
like
old school.
Yeah, it was older. It was older. It was a Cyan Maokai top,
and
they had a 2.5 minute long fight that just the camera just stuck on it for 2.5 minutes. No health bars going down. If this
did someone do you win?
No, I don't think. I think actually,
just like
I think the game
panned
ended
to something more interesting.
The game, it eventually panned to like the blue side just taking inhibs as they were still fighting in the bot lane.
Yeah. Interesting. I actually don't know the longest game I've cast. I think it's actually not that long. I've been fairly blessed in not having some complete... But actually, no, I've reached a second Eldrick. But enough about us. Third game of the day is going to be AV Academy versus UTS. And we saw, like, at the start of the day, right? It's Chiefs and Legacy. They're coming in 2-0. Both these teams starting off the season with a 0-2. So a bit of a rough start, but one of them has to pick up a win here. Yeah,
one of them does. And it's very important, I feel like, that you do pick up this win. Because starting 0-3 in a single round robin is... It's tough to climb out of, especially as top half advanced. So, and if you're thinking, okay, so we need to be above 50%, well,
you're gonna start working on that.
Yeah, exactly. That means you have to win, like, essentially every 2 games you got to win and like only lose 1. So like win 2 to lose 1 for the rest of the season. That's hard to do. 66% 0.66666 win rate.
Yeah.
Not clean.
Yeah, certainly is the case. And we do want to talk about like the rosters coming in, right? Like the UTS sticking with the same tried and true roster. I feel like what they've shown so far is some interesting stuff. The bottom lane has impressed me the most in Cadence and Frolic. I feel like those two kind of work together fairly well. As opposed to like some of the other bot lanes in the league that look like a bunch of like good individuals, but I do really prize like synergy between 2 people.
As we are actually moving into picks and bans right now, I have to say, like, UTS, I've seen some of their games as well before OCS, and they were having synergy issues then. So that's kind of more what I'm going to be looking for in this game is how much UTS has actually improved in terms of playing as a team. Are they going to be able to play the map a little bit cleaner than they have in the past? Whereas Avant Academy, unfortunately, I'm less familiar with this team, so I'm going to be turning to you for
that's the thing as well. Like, this is 3 new players. They're bringing in Tekka, they're bringing in Zippo, and they're bringing in Styled. So this is another team like the Bombers we saw last game that has kind of brought in a new majority of the roster. So maybe a little bit of figuring out to do for the team on stage, for us like as analysts looking at it, but also just for viewers and like how this team is going to look with that different lineup as we're already into a couple of the bans.
Yeah, already. We're finally seeing Morgana taken away. I'm a little bit relieved to see that. She's been quite strong already in our first 2 games, as well as like Kindred and Uncali and Arise.
Yeah, so Kindred is just becoming like a big thing in the earlier weeks. Maybe not so much in the first couple of days of games of today, but first 2 was a high prize for a lot of these teams. As you mentioned, Akali going towards Fuzzy Zola. He's had a good performance in that already. That makes sense. Rise, standard stuff. Aurelia Morgana, standard stuff. And yeah, interesting to see where these 2 teams do track onwards. Do we see a Nautilus?
Maybe. Do we see the Nautilus ban? I'm curious as to where it goes. I feel like that's something, you know, if you're not too familiar with your opponents, just ban those general strong champs. Just ban those flex champs out. So I'm not too surprised to see really any of these bans. So we're waiting for the last one. It'll be the Aatrox, so there we go. Yeah. So some more of the same.
Let's make a lot of sense. Of course, these teams will be more familiar with each other behind the scenes, you know, screen practicing week to week, but
Sylas.
That's a lock-in.
That's a first pick Sylas. I always kind of feel that's risky just because you don't really know what you're going to be getting out of that ultimate from him.
True. I feel like it's a weird way to look at it, but I feel like when you kind of look at a champion of at like Nasus, who's similar in a weird way, but I'll explain myself. Like the Q stacks are like a bonus. You pick Nasus as a champion in and of himself, and then like you scaling into the late game with Q stacks is like the bonus on top. Sylas, to be playable, I think has to be at that same state where you have to be willing to pick Sylas as a champion in his own right by himself. And then like if you get good ultis, Nautilus, pretty damn good ulti, does damage, does CC. Cataclysm is the same thing. Like if you get those things, they're like a bit of a bonus, but he has to be good enough on his own. He has to be a champion. If he's a butthole champion and you're hoping to get ultis, like that is not first pickable in any right.
But yeah, with the depth charge and the Cataclysm, though, that's definitely going to be massive for UTS. That said, however, a depth charge and a Cataclysm are already there for Avant Academy. Those are two very strong picks, as we're seeing Sejuani being hovered right now.
Yeah, maybe looking to just go in, you know what I mean? Like pick a lot of engage, like fight fire with fire, and look to kind of like get things rolling in the early game. I like that style from a team that has like suffered 0-2 in the early season, right? Like you want to start playing on your terms. You don't want to be like kind of beat around and have to like claw these wins back sort of thing. You want to have as much control as possible as early. So not Jarvan makes a lot of sense. But on the other side, UTS could just be tasked with the same old thing.
Yeah, they're going for the Galio, and we're not going to be seeing Galio Kai'Sa if this gets locked in by Zippo, that strong bot lane, and there it is, almost instantly taken away from UTS. A good pickup for Avant Academy there.
Yeah, certainly is the case. So a lot of these kind of trending between both of these teams. Support hasn't, AD carry rather, hasn't been locked in, so I kind of expect AV to be able to ban away a couple of those. Is it the Ezreal you pair that with the Galio? Would make sense. Varus is another one, and I like that ban away. Removing a lot of CC, because you look at UTS so far, and it's Galio, Sejuani, Sylas. All of them have hard CC. You don't really want to add more to that coin in the AD carry position, so AV, take the Varus off the board.
We won't be seeing something as crazy as an Ashe ban, though, following that as well, will we?
Probably not. I feel like probably not. Varus in a much better state right now. Ashe, I actually love Ashe as a champion. I cannot play her for the life of me, but like if I have an Ashe on my team, I feel very good. Yeah. It's so... She has vision, she has CC, and she scales incredibly well. Yeah. Feels very nice. Big fan.
It's just their lack of mobility, I feel, that kind of hurts them in the long run.
But then, like, if you win lane, then who cares?
Yeah, exactly. As Vayne is actually going to be the second AD carry taken away, so no Vayne Galio either.
Yeah, taking away some of the hyper carries there. We did see in week number 2, I think it was, like a bunch of Vayne versus Space Vayne, so we're not going to see a repeat of that one. As Zoe and Jace is going to be the bans from the other side of the coin. UTS just trying to kind of open up their matchup. They do have the Sylas locked in already. Of course, can go top, can go mid. Banning away those solo laners really does kind of remove some of the matchups you don't want to play, remove some of the comfort from your opponents, and give you options as where to put that.
So seeing the LeBlanc is going to be taken for Zippo on Avant Academy. Our first LeBlanc we're seeing today. I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, big fan. When you link that up with a Jarvan, you can do a lot of good things in the early game. LeBlanc, one of those champions that once you get ahead, can do monstrous things. But as is the Draven on the other side, Cadence, that's a big pickup.
I mean, everyone loves a Draven when a Draven gets locked in. It guarantees an exciting bot lane just because you want to cash in on those stacks. So
yeah, be interesting here. It's paired with the Galio and not the Nautilus, so kind of don't have the most engage down on the bottom side. But the 2v2 certainly going to be scary for a Kai'Sa, and Draven sort of has kind of cemented himself as like a blind pick Kai'Sa answer. A lot of people like take the Vayne and just look to scale with her, get to the 2 items, and then you're like a hyper carry. But this is the I want to punish you, and I want to punish you early in the matchup. And I was complimenting them before the game started. They have big shoes to fill here for Cadence and Frolic.
As we were waiting to see what the last pickup will be for Avant Academy. There was a Corki locked in for UTS, but who will be going? It appears they're rotating through top laners right now, and the Mundo is actually what's going to be taken for Avant.
Yeah, so interesting. They have a super heavy front line here. Jarvan, Mundo, and the Nautilus, and a lot of damage is going to have to bite through that one. On the other side of the coin, UTS don't have that. It's the Corki, it's the Draven, it's the Sylas, it's the Sejuani and Galio, so kind of a bit of a mix of things. It might just be the quadruple TP. We may see like a 1-3-1 versus a 1-3-1, but yeah, both these teams certainly have options open.
I mean, when I look at these sort of team compositions, like my first thought when I'm looking at Avant is like, this is protect the Kai'Sa. This is going to be front to back. We want to scale. We want to play for that late game, and we want to take the game over there. Whereas UTS is like,
much earlier.
We want to snowball. We want to get our lead early. We want to get that snowball.
Yeah.
And the question, I guess, with these kind of matchups is, how late can Avant Academy take this game?
Yeah. Like, if you're an AV fan, you certainly hope they can take it a little bit later than we've seen the earlier games going. As you mentioned, it is sort of, like, they don't have the biggest engage until they hit the level 6 mark. It's not a Galio with a Jarvan who has someone to get him into the back line. He kind of has to do all the work himself, and we were talking about it, having the conversation, I think, in the second game about the cleanse tax. It was actually taken here by the Kai'Sa, so doesn't have access to the TP, doesn't have to go the cleanse, and that's doubly punishing in a Draven matchup. You don't have the heal. He can just hit his W and right-click you in the head. He already does more damage, so not having access to the double combat summoner here, Force-styled, could prove sort of a burden that they have to overcome in the early laning phase.
Do you reckon like Styles also probably going to have to pay that QSS tax as well?
Maybe? He already has the cleanse, right? So it's like, you're doubling up there for the Galio for the Sejuani. It's not a whole lot more that's QSSable. Silas in theory, but doesn't feel like the best reason to buy it. I feel like Cleanse is at least going to get into 2 items. So wants to go like the Storm Razor, wants to get towards the Guinsus, and try and live as much as possible. Does have a pretty beefy front line to work with. So in a straight up front to back, you expect that definitely doesn't need like both those get out of jail free cars.
Something else that I actually like out of Avant's team composition as well is the Jarvan pickup. Just because, like, yes, that team comp, when you look at it, they want to scale. They have that beefy front line. They're going to be doing that front-to-back team fight style. But Faulkner can still play quite aggressive in that early game and possibly set themselves up to even start an early snowball if they get lucky.
I mean, we saw the level 2 gank attempt last game, and this is exactly the same matchup. It's not a Zoe, but it is into a Corki again. So Faulkner is... played those sort of champions, has played the I want to go in, I play the Sejuani, play the Nocturne, and now here on the Jarvan, so has some room to play with as these players. Come on, bruh. He's got the most potato PCs known to man. What are they doing?
Maybe someone's borrowing like one of my laptops.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Glorified paperweight.
Yeah. Playing competitive League of Legends on a laptop sounds like a little bit of a roughie. Definitely don't envy any player's shoes in that, but...
That's where you're seeing.
Are you a laptop and keyboard guy, or are you just like a use the laptop keyboard guy?
I have a laptop and a keyboard that probably costs more than the laptop.
Oh yeah, fair enough. But makes sense. I feel like I'm trying to think of who it was. I think it was Chippies who came into the OPL, and like his first berth at like a semi-final game. As look, we have some level 1 shenanigans. They're getting vision, but they will just back away. And he came into the OPL and was like. How do I use this keyboard? Like, he played on a laptop, and I'm pretty sure it was Chippies. If I'm wrong, then I'm sorry, but he comes in and he's like, I'm not used to, literally a keyboard. How do I do this? And then, like, another player, Decoy, on Gravitas this split of the OPL, he'd never used a mouse pad before. Apparently, he moved into, like, a gaming house, and everyone's looking at him like, what are you doing? Just playing with your mouse on, like, a wooden desk. It's like some kind of, like, just troll, genuine troll.
As someone who plays with a mouse on a wooden desk, I am going to take a
monochrome
really? Of it. No. Joking, as we're seeing right away, pretty conventional starts from both sides. Each jungler opting to start with the red buff in this one. Another thing I have seen, actually, just to compare, I suppose, OPL to some of the high school stuff I have been casting, we had a game delay because one of the laptops that the students was using didn't have a charger, and the battery on the laptop died. And we had to refresh. So it's fun to compare, the sort of differences in experiences there.
Did you find a charger?
A charger was found. We didn't find one. Someone else did. Zippo going in for a bit of an early trade right there onto Fuzzy Zola, but not quite a lot of damage just yet. Junglers each sort of mirroring each other a bit. Actually, it does appear to be let a little bit ahead just because Jarvan opted for the Krugs.
I'm actually, to further the conversation, not a laptop guy.
Yep.
Like, straight up, I use desktop and then, like, laptops. I'm not about... There's something about, like, a mobile PC device that is just kind of garbage. I just want, like, the full thing. Like, I don't know. I haven't invested in, like, a $17 million laptop that's, like, actually good, right? So I've never had a good laptop. I intentionally, for university, bought a crappy one that I couldn't play games on as some like, self-discipline there. Like, don't give myself the opportunity to play. Yeah.
Your lecturers would be proud of that decision.
Yeah, it was a smart decision. It definitely... It could play some games, which I did find out, which is not the intention, but it did work majority of the time.
As we're continuing right now, seeing a bit of an invade right now coming out from Let, going to be able to pick up the Raptors as Jarvan was kind of opting for that full bot clear on the opposite side right now. Not too much still just happening, so I guess let's talk more laptops, shall we?
No, well, I actually like this play coming from UTS, right? Like, he goes in, he gets the Raptors, but it's also the Silas rotating over. He gets that vision ward on the top of your screen right now moving into the center, and they're looking to track this Jarvan, and they don't know exactly where he is, but the fact that he's not top side means that they know he's towards the bottom side. Bottom wave is pushing in, and the Draven Galio can play accordingly. May just find themselves with access to a potential gank at the top.
Yeah, actually, both junglers kind of trying to scope out a gank right now. It is Let who's making the advance on the top side, taking a look at that mini-map, going in, quite aggressive. Tekker quite low, but not low enough to warrant a flash, so a bit of pressure applied, but nothing serious emerged.
Just one less auto attack, and they would have been able to proc the passive, so don't quite find it, don't quite lock the Mundo down, and he does maintain access to all of his summoners. Burns a health pot, but he's Mundo, so will be fairly sturdy up towards the top side. Jarvan is tracking towards the bottom lane, but has stepped over a ward, so I feel like not much is going to come of this.
Nope, he has been spotted, but still, UTS playing quite far up at the moment. Actually, there's a bit of engage happening on the bot side right now. I believe the dredge line did connect onto Frolic, who's already down to half health. Cadence trying to turn things back around, but won't be able to find too much damage.
And you can see the ward literally on your screen. Frolic has to be criticized for that one. They knew the Jarvan was there, but must have been hooked, had to burn the flash anyway, so given he knew it was a 2 versus 3, Wave certainly not in the best position, and they didn't see the Jarvan recall, so you can see how much threat UTS's bottom lane is playing under right now. Not stepping up and looking to push this one in. Just trying to catch as much farm as humanly possible with the respect of their opponents.
I have to give credit as well to Styled, I believe, just being able to sort of freeze that farm right there for that long, having your jungler waiting and just keeping them in that correct position to actually still attempt a gank, with UTS knowing full well it would be coming.
Certainly is the case. Now Sejuani tracking down, gives them the respite to be able to push this one out. As, yeah, this is a fairly stable early game once again. Not too much happening in terms of level 2s over the course of the day, really, despite having double Jarvan games. Leet's just going to come in and push the mid lane out for Fuzzy Zola. He has TP, so won't lose anything, but has absolutely no mana to speak of, so no ability to push that in himself.
I was also kind of watching Hyper actually on the minimap throughout all that. As you can take a look there, he was able to get a quite
round 2, yeah.
Board. Like super down there. He actually narrowly avoided Faulkner with his jungle pathing. A little bit lucky in that situation that he didn't walk smack dab into the Jarvan, but as a result, you know, they get that deep vision. They were able to trap Faulkner some more, so I'm curious to see how UTS will play around that.
And I like that a lot, honestly. It's a collective effort to track the enemy jungler. I feel like AV do play fairly heavily around Faulkner and his ability to get things going for them, so the fact that this is twice Hyper is shoved in and then got that topside vision means they have some information on where he's tracking. The fact that Faulkner just face-checked a Sejuani, he's like, oh, I'm not having any of that one, and does just have to back away to his jungle. So UTS have had a bunch of information on the enemy location, and as such, are just playing this lane phase out fairly stably. They've looked for an opportunity top, didn't quite find it, but there's never really been any gank threat onto them.
No, there has not right now, and I like to see this out of UTS. They're playing a very, very strong and very smart early game, something I was a little bit critical of going into this one, but here comes an aggressive play coming out of Reaple, is able to connect with the dredge line. Cadence quite low, Ignite has the drop, flash forward from Stylish, but the flag and drag is actually onto Frolic instead, who does not have flash available and will get run down. That is first blood going over to Style.
And just as we compliment the jungle interactions, they've tracked him all game until now, but the flash was already burnt earlier. Frolic had no access. They get every summoner out of Cadence, and that is first blood. That's going to be a plate to boot, and AV's bottom lane, U80 carry coming in, and he's having a very good start.
He really is at this stage, as well. That is also going to equate to vision control over the Mountain Drake at this time, as things calming back down a little bit. Tekker and Hyper. Tekker's just really been sitting almost under his tower this entire time. Hyper has just been doing so good in shoving him in and then like getting those deep wards.
Yeah, he's keeping up in farm quite nicely, especially given the early gank he did receive. But, you know, he's just Mundo. Not a lot of gank threat available there. It's not like this is a mid-Sylas who has an Ignite or anything. So once he hits that level 6 mark, it is very difficult for Sylas to ever kill the Mundo. In the same boat, the reverse should never happen, because as the Sylas, you have access to that regeneration that the Mundo has. So I expect sort of this trend to continue. It's more about the priority that Hyper has to then float towards the rest of the map, rather than being able to force through his lane individually.
Speaking of Mundo, and kind of going a little bit off topic, I just want your opinion on this one, because this is highly debated amongst my low elo friends. Okay. Jungle Mundo. What is your thoughts on that one? Because I've been doing that recently and having a lot of success as Zippo, again, going for a trade.
Mega butthole. He has had his place, I think, of years gone by, but nowadays he's too linear, and he doesn't offer enough for a jungler that kind of like doesn't scale. Like, if you think about the junglers that don't have good gank threat, like you think about it, in this meta, it's like the Karthus, right? He becomes a monster real quick.
We have action happen right now. Glacial Prison connecting, forcing a flash out of Faulkner, and here comes the Cataclysm on the Frolic as well. Tekker trying to do what he can from outside, but Style comes flying in. Hyper's able to pick up the kill onto the Jarvan, and down goes to Kaisa as well. A double kill for Hyper, and they have won this fight. Ripoli is able to flash out, and that could be a Mountain Drake going over to UTS.
And Hyper really was the difference. He TPs to the play, insta takes the Cataclysm, and then onto multiple members, and it was actually that terrain that denied Real Opal the access to the hook. He can't CC anyone, and UTS, they're second to the play there. Looked for the fight, but they get 2 kills, they get themselves a mountain, and they're walking away with everything.
Yeah, great play coming out of Hyper, who has really been a shining star for UTS, at least so far in the early game of this one. There's a reason why they first picked Silas, it seems.
Yeah, he's looking very comfortable. And I've finished my point. He doesn't offer enough to, like, not do anything. Like, you're really not afraid of a Mundo walking into your lane and throwing a cleaver at you. That's not the scariest thing I can think of. And then once you get to late game, he's just a meat shield. So, can certainly be a front line, but I don't know. He's certainly fun. I don't debate the fun factor. And given I'm definitely retired, fun factor is mega important when I get into Champ Select.
Yeah, but now my friends are never going to let me play that again because you've just shut that down completely, and I can go like, oh, but Cinderhulk, and they're just going to go now.
I mean, he gets tanky. He does get obnoxiously tanky, and if you do happen to get kills, which probably shouldn't come of your own volition, if it just kind of happens around you and you clean up a couple, I can see you becoming incredibly annoying very quickly.
But I suppose that same thing can be said for really any tank jungle at this stage.
I've definitely just said, if the things go well around you and you don't do anything and you benefit, you feel good. And it's like, wow, sick. Sick. Great.
So Tekker is definitely doing the smart thing and taking this Mundo into the top lane.
Makes a whole lot more sense. Jarvan certainly more useful in the jungle position. But, yeah, 1,000 gold lead here for AVA. And, kind of surprising somewhat. The Rift Herald is going to be the star.
Yeah, Rift Herald is going to be taken. No vision, actually, for AVA to really counteract this. So UTS should be picking themselves a free Rift Herald. They don't really even lose that much pressure in any of the lanes. Only Zippo is getting some going in that mid lane, but by this stage, it's too late. Doesn't even take it to the tower.
But that was the thing, right? They have package, and they kind of use that to get towards the Rift Herald. It's a time where Corki should just straight up get priority. A mid laner cannot contest against the package, and that's exactly what happens. Zippo ups in for a recall. He's like, look, I can't do anything anyway. I'm going to base. And UTS very smartly, Leet rotates up, starts up the Rift Herald, and lane priority for top, lane priority for mid means that we just get that one for free.
Tekker doing so much work, forcing the flash out of Hyper, still possibly looking to run this down. Indian will turn away. All of a sudden, Tekker is online.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Hyper maybe a little bit too late on stealing that ulti, because you do cop the instant burst of damage. It does cost straight HP, and then you get it all back, but was slightly too low, worried about the execute, maybe the headbutt coming from the Mundo, and Hyper loses the flash in a matchup he has been winning up until this point, but that last TP cost him a 10 CS lead and now has 2 kills, but is falling 20 behind.
Yeah, and because Tekker has not moved from the top lane this entire game. We've seen Hyper roaming around in the jungle. He kind of wandered to mid lane looking for ganks. He's been getting those deep wards, and you know the TP has been used, and now all of a sudden Tekker is a pretty significant advantage. Frolic is actually going quite aggressive. Ripoli should be trying to turn this around. The taunt only connecting as one as Faulkner tries to get that re-engage. Frolic has to flash defensively out the but Cataclysm cashes leg. Big facial prison, however, onto Zippo. Stops that engagement in its tracks, but it does not matter because Styled is still able to pick up Let, and Faulkner is able to walk away on a very low health.
Yeah, and UTS looked like they maybe were able to turn that one around. As you mentioned, the Sedge ulti onto the LeBlanc was enough to dissuade a lot of that, but not enough to buy his life. The flash wasn't available, didn't have the dash because he used it earlier, and a 3 versus 3, a 4 versus 3 eventuated. AVA come up with another kill.
I feel as if, though, that Glacial Prison really stopped things from going a lot worse.
Yeah, that could have been
UTS.
3 kills very easily. If LeBlanc gets the flash double distort onto the back line. Have to note Cadence as well throws out the E to deny that one, so it really was a multi-member effort there, and they keep themselves alive for the most part.
Yeah, the tower still stands. Only 1 plate actually taken as a result of that game. As once again, Tekker stepping in aggressively. He's really starting to bully Hyper out of this lane.
He's just reached that point where Hyper just walks up, deals with the wave, and then neither of them can realistically damage each other. Hyper with the belt and with his he has greater access to AoE, just whips down the chains and has that passive to be able to fling and push off the wave. So he walks up, clears the wave, walks away to clear some vision, and Tekker just kind of runs at him afterwards. Has the cleavers and throwing at the back of his head, but this is just a Rift Herald popped on the top side.
Yeah, Rift Herald being popped right now. Nothing Tekker can do to stop it. That said, Faulkner has rotated to the top side of the map. Should be looking to help defend this top tower at this stage. As right now, Len is actually still looking for a possible engage right now. Rift Herald does crash in, gets about 2 or 3 plates right off the bat, but they will not be able to bring down the tower.
Yeah, not quite that much actually. It was only the singular one. They needed 1 more auto attack from Shelly to be able to get a second, so they're just looking at the timer and it's like, okay, 14 minutes, these plates are gone, let's get something for it. It wasn't the best use so far, but they just want to transition more gold into this Silas. If you look at him on the map, the Draven hasn't come online. He hasn't got that kill, he hasn't stacked, he hasn't cashed in those stacks, and they're looking 2-0 Silas. If he gets to 2 items, 3 items, can cause a bit of a ruckus, so Rift Herald goes his direction, picks up a little bit more gold, and Hyper is really looking to be set up as a carry from the top side, and that makes sense. He's a Fiora player, has played it in earlier weeks, and UTS like to train resources his way.
I mean, and continuing on with that right now, actually, Cloud Drake has spawned on the map, and right away, Faulkner was there trying to get vision around it, was able to pick up the Scuttlebug. As we're seeing bot lane rotating up, we might see a contest from this out of UTS.
Certainly could be the case. TPs are almost available. Mundo has his, but a few seconds on Hyper, but this is just going to be a recall. An air drag, and UTS decide they don't care much about it. Just willing to concede that one as AV walk over, right-click the dragon, pick that one up, and they're back to laning.
Back to laning. So, I'm going to... With that Cloud Drake, I find it kind of obvious UTS wouldn't contest that just because it is the Cloud Drake, and objectively, in my opinion, so not objective at all, the worst Drake.
Objectively, in my subjective opinion.
Exactly, it is the worst Drake, so I don't blame UTS for not contesting.
Yeah, 100%. Like, there's more important things to do. Tempo, like, could be the answer here. They're going for the lane swap. It is gonna cost them their bot turret as well. If they can take the top one, you're sort of answering that one, so... is interesting. I don't like the fact that they just like chose to lane swap whilst AV can push, because this is what happens. They're now on the outer turret. Hype is going to be able to answer, but this crash is already happening. This is much earlier here from AV, and they do kind of have that lead. This gold lead is sort of coming out of nowhere, you have to think. Maybe a little bit of CS here and there. The Mundo is still that 20 CS mark ahead, but gone from 1,000 to 2,000 in the last couple of minutes, and AV certainly holding on to this one.
Yes, they are. It's supposed to be Skull buying some time for the rest of his team to come through. Zippo has to retreat, at least for now, but Hyper is on the hunt.
Yeah.
Might be able to chase down, but nope, Zippo's able to bounce over that wall, so nothing going to happen, at least just yet. It does leave this mid tower a bit exposed, but with no wave there, nothing will come from it.
Yeah, a lot of members in the mid lane and not a lot of minions, so Cadence just really wanting to work towards that BT, right? Once he gets that item, once he gets his first cash in, is going to come online. That was a very nice hook.
Very good dredge line, but the counter engage is there for UTS. Ripple has to use the stopwatch as Faulkner gets the flag, and Dragon's able to bring down that Galio, so another kill secured for AVA.
And Frolic getting punished for his AD carry's mistakes there, but AV just styling on the opponents. The hook onto Cadence, the cancel onto that heroic entrance, and Galio now 0-3. The first gank burnt his flash, but the subsequent ones losing his life, having a very rough game here versus AV.
Yeah, a bit surprising to see the bot side of UTS really struggling in this one. I kind of felt they would almost have that winning matchup if for no other reason than maybe additional jungle pressure that bot side. But
I mean, you just look at the matchup. It's like Draven versus Akaisa. You expect Draven to be able to get things done, but hasn't been the case so far. He's sitting on 0 kills, no stacks to be cashed in. Hasn't died, so it's not like he's lost access to them. He can still get one team fight and then have 2 items and be a monster.
Yep. But with the gold lane slipping away, I'm starting to feel like instead of it being a luxury picking up those stacks, it's almost a necessity at this stage. As Faulkner is waiting to come in from the side lane, he knows there is no ward there, but nothing available, so we'll back off. Although, Zippo could be looking... No, he's just stealing away some farm.
Yeah, wants some chickens, but I completely agree. As you mentioned, like Kaiser's working on the Gwinsus. The BT is now picked up, but Kaiser's been on one item, whereas the Draven's been on components for probably about 3 or 4 minutes, which in a 17-minute game so far, that's a significant chunk of time.
Roughly 25% of the time. That is a large run. And
Frolic
Frolic stepping forward into the flag and drag, into the anchor, but no damage yet. Zippo's making his way down, though, and with that stopwatch being popped, it will buy enough time for the kill to be secured. Zippo getting his second of the game. UTS trying to possibly find a way back into it, but there's just nothing there.
And they are just picking on the Chicken Man hardcore this game. Frolic burns the stopwatch, burns the flash, and falls down anyway. No ability for his team to contest as they were all just rotating over. AV trying to set something up here, but given that Hyper rotates over, it does dissuade them from pushing further. It is just the kill, but this gold lead, as you mentioned, is just trending upwards and upwards for the red side of the map.
I'm curious to see if Hyper will be able to do anything with that depth charge. It's obviously a strong team fighting ultimate, and maybe, just maybe, it can allow Cadence to get that kill, but that involves them finding the correct fight, and right now there's just been nothing available for them.
Yeah, certainly is the case. Kind of weird as,
he's just gonna use it solo.
Got a timeout anyway, so just kind of throws it at his enemy. Does a significant amount of damage. It's not a support Nautilus's ulti. It has his AP ratio. Doesn't have the most AP right now, but with the belt, with the blasting one, and a tiny little book. Did about a 5th. That's respectable. That's a 20%er.
Well, that's a 20%er.
On a LeBlanc. She's definitely not the tankiest member.
No, it's not the tankiest member. It's just a bit unfortunate that no one else from UTS was really there to sort of capitalize on it. They were more concerned with defending the mid lane from the push that AVA was bringing.
Probably got better things to do.
Yeah,
looking for the reset, defending their mid turret as he just kind of blows it for the timeout. Almost Zoe things there, but we are 19 minutes into the game. Gold lead still in the hands of AV, about 4,000, but 20 minutes, that means the big purple worm is going to spawn, and both these teams, I expect, can be looking for the team fights. The Galio, the Sejuani on UTS's side, but it's the Nautilus, the big, beefy frontline we talked about. Once Starred gets to 2 items, which he is now, like, this is the hyper carry of 2018, Vayne and Kaiser. You're online. You've got 2 items, and you are the hyper carry. They have the front-line to front-to-back team fight, and Baron is the perfect place to do it.
It is, but right now it appears the target will be that Mountain Drake. The entirety of AVA rotating down there for it, and it's just it's trying to find a way in, but Faulkner playing defense in that bush. It has been started by Style. They're going to drag the Dragon out of the pit. UTS still trying to find that entrance. I feel like unless they go for it blind or do something reckless, they won't be able to get it. And so it will go to AVA in this instance, and they might be looking for that fight in mid. UTS pushing forward. Here comes the hook. It does connect onto Let, who's going to try and turn around. Big ultimate from Draven does not take anyone down. Cataclysm catches too. They caught the Kaisa, and Style goes down. Let is in trouble, flashes into another Cataclysm, but it's okay because the damage isn't there. Rippley goes back in to secure the kill, but goes down himself. In the end, it will be a 2-for-1 in favor of UTS, so a bit of a fight that they wanted and won right there.
Yeah, AV looked for it, but they can't quite find the engage. Relopal's hook lands onto the Sejuani, and that is not the target you're looking for. The counter is there. There's a bunch of Galio ultis going all over the place, and it was very close, but the 2-for-1 feels good for UTS. Couldn't quite find access to the Dragon, so went for the mid-pry, went to the pressure the turret, and do get themselves a good trade. The Draven is still the big news story of this game.
Yeah.
Has another BF sword, probably working on like his next item, whether it's an IE, unlikely, maybe a Death Dance, something like that, but he wants to cash in those stacks, doesn't have a kill, but most importantly, hasn't died in any of these fights, so the opportunity is still there.
I'm surprised he got through that fight without getting killed, or without getting a kill, like somehow escaped both of those situations in that fight. Also, looking back at that last fight, I really want to give credit to Hyper right there for catching out Style almost right away with that Cataclysm to secure that kill. That was really good play, and really, I feel is what gave UTS the win in that fight.
Yeah, certainly, because he's the only consistent damage dealer on that team. Like, there's 3 members of frontline. LeBlanc is going to double distort in and do some damage to someone. She gets to pick a single target, but then her rotation, like her effective damage is on cooldown for another 10, another 7 before that comes online. So if Style falls down at the start, there's really no auto attacks being dished out, no relevant damage coming from anyone else, and they do kind of just have to wait. So if UTS can replicate that team fight, if they can continue finding those engages that they found in that mid lane, then that could serve them well tracking into the end of this game.
Maybe if they're lucky, Cadence will get a kill on that path because he definitely wants to cash in on those stacks.
It's the most frustrating Draven game of all time. 22 minutes, no kills.
Yeah.
Feels mega bad.
It does, but there will be opportunities, that's for sure. You can't have 2 team compositions like this without, having those explosive team fights, and you would expect it to be over that Baron. At the moment, Vision is in favor of UTS. However, 3 members are grouping. Actually, that's 4 members for AVA, looking to get a push for it. Frolic trying to do defense on that side, but I don't think they're going to be able to defend this Vision at this stage.
I like the way you put it as well. Both these team fights, team comps, want to look for the team fights. Like, they're both headbutt comps.
Yes.
And they're going to headbutt each other at some point. They're probably just going to do it repetitively. So now that Baron has spawned, 22 minutes, they're just fighting over this Vision. Zippo just getting some damage onto Lee.
Yeah, try to get some down there, but that's, again, not really the target that you want right now. Sejuani,
he's just trying to be annoying.
Still quite healthy. Kind of saying, hey, I'm here, don't do anything reckless now, otherwise you'll get punished for it.
Needs to blow the passive as burst damage on the Sejuani is kind of a futile goal there if you only have the single shot. So Styled and Cadence fighting over mid-priority, given the lead that AV have. Cadence is just letting that one push into him as this is just straight up a battle for this Baron priority. Hyper is doing what he's done the entirety of this game. He doesn't want to deal with the Mundo.
Zippo on the flank, though. Again, kind of connecting with Led. I believe his target was Cadence. He didn't quite get there. Led actually going in quite aggressive, trying to run down Faulkner, but Style is there to push him back. UTS is a bit of trouble. Lethal Prison connecting with Faulkner. Cataclysm onto 4 members as the teleport's going through. Too little, too late for Faulkner as he goes down for Cadence. On the top side, you can see Hyper running down members as Tekker is going in so deep, is able to run down Fuzzy Cole. Cadence is next. Cadence goes down. No stacks this time, my friend. And Tekker once more under the the tower we go. Leg goes down as a double kill for Zippo, and AVA has just blown this game open. Red Bully and Hyper still going at it on the top side jungle. Finally, Hyper has to back off.
And what just happened? The tag team of Mundo and LeBlanc comes out of nowhere. Tekka TP's in, had 0 kills before this point. It just headbutts to victory. UTS, they lose multiple members to the Mundo, and that is the first death of the Draven. All those stacks go down the sink, and that's another team fight. That's another team fight for AVA.
I actually think Cadence was able to pick up a kill. He got the kill, so he got the stacks. Is all okay.
True. Did he get them before he died? He
must have got it just before he died. So Cadence able to sneak one out there. Something else I wanted to bring up right before that fight started was I wanted to point out that Tekken actually opted for that Bramble Vest as opposed to finishing the Sunfire Cape. And I think that came in handy, just negating some of that self-heal that Cadence would have had from that Bloodthirster.
Yeah, because like a Draven, doesn't realistically have the biggest burst damage, and he's not a tank shredder, right? Like he does a significant amount, but when you're going into a Bramble Vest, a Sunfire Cape, and Ninja Tabbies, it's really difficult to take down the Mundo, so he just headbutts his way to victory. As you kind of took a quick look at the gold, you mentioned that he picks up the stacks. He absolutely did. He's now ahead of the Kai'Sa, so very good note there. Next dragon is going to spawn as, what is it, another mount. This will be the third one for the game, actually. AV picked up one of their own with the air, as UTS have, remember this? Are they just going to lose Baron for this? Oh no, Baron's... No, Baron's available. Yeah, they're just doing Baron.
Yeah, they're just going to do Baron, but I do believe AVA has sort of scouted that one out. They are setting Styled and Ripple up towards the top side of that map. Tekken is there as well, but they have to find a clean entrance into the 4-man knuckle that is UTS at this stage. And with all that vision there, they're actually conceding it right now. Nobody's going to be able to step up, so UTS is going to get a Baron for nothing. They don't even get the Mountain Drake.
They just had a 3,000 gold deficit. They just won a team fight and concede the Baron to UTS. No ability to get into the river. The vision is denied, and what's just happened? They start up the Dragon like before the play, lose themselves a Baron. Now they get the consolation prize, but that was a disastrous map movement for AV fans.
It's a, very disastrous, because now they don't really have time to reset as well after collecting that Mountain Drake, because UTS should just start really running it down, as we're seeing possible action happening in the jungle right now. It is scouted out, but it might not matter. Nope, Let is able to escape cleanly this time around. So Red Buff should be going over to AVA.
Yeah, very nice blue trinket coming out of the 80 carry of UTS. Cadence kind of knows what's up. I don't think they had vision on the entrance and just kind of expected maybe they were looking for something. In 2019, Season 9, it is sort of like a very standard thing. Once you lose a play to just bum rush the enemy jungle and look to pick on a carry getting red buff. So not the first time he's seen that move. Does kind of sniff it out as AVA, despite being ahead 2,500 gold, actually battling uphill against the Baron buff.
Yep, and they have lost a mid tower as the result. So the second tier one falling for AVA, still on the back foot despite this gold lead, despite the dragon lead as well. Up 3 dragons to 1. They've really just got to survive this Baron push coming out of UTS and then look to reset after that and try to find more fights and not get out-rotated again.
Yeah, certainly is the case. And I do have to sort of criticize the builds coming out of UTS. Like, somebody at some point has to build a... what's it called? Executioner's Calling to go up against Tekka. He's just run rampant in these team fights, and he gets on top of the Draven. The Draven isn't dealing relevant damage to anyone that he wants to be hitting right now, and he's actually working on a Zeal item here, so neither the Corki nor the Draven is picking that one up. Silas does have access to the Morellos, but every single fight, Hyper is just diving on the Kai'Sa. That's his job. He wants to blow up the backline, steal a Cataclysm, and deal with the one consistent damage threat. That's not going to be enough of against the Mundo if he's just on the other side of the team fight.
That really will not be right now, as we're trying to see what's happening at this stage. AVA trying to play defensive. Like, no one's... Like, I'm watching the minimap right now, specifically on Replay, as well as Faulkner, and they were just so scared to walk into that river. They're so paranoid of getting caught out right now when trying to get this vision.
It's just kind of a weird situation. Like, the team that's winning lost to the Baron. So UTS, they got a turret with it, but they don't have the capacity to force a team fight, right? They don't actually want a 5v5 right now. They want to get towards third items, maybe build that Executioner, so... It was more of like a stabilization Baron. They get a bit of gold, they get some control back on the map, and they deny AV like progression in this game in sort of a broader picture, but not really looking to force things for themselves right now.
Yeah, but as you speak of third items, Zippo just picked up his Rabadon's Death Cap. Style does have his 3 items with the Runon's Hurricane as well. So despite UTS kind of coming out on top a bit recently, I still like AVA's team fight at this stage. Like, UTS has to be very careful they just don't get run over in this next engage.
Yeah, I really feel like it is on Hyper to deal with the Kai'Sa. If Kai'Sa is not a factor in the team fight, then UTS can win, but if she's just left free hitting, then the front line is going to be very difficult to deal with, and now that the Baron is almost timing out, it's not completely gone, but 5 members find access to mid turret, deal with the side lanes a little bit later, and they take that one down.
Zippo was trying to find a way in on the flank as well. Unfortunately, ran into Frolic in that instance. But moving as a group of 5 AVA, it's just so hard to engage on this team comp. UTS trying to group as well. And here comes the Cataclysm, connects with 3. Fuzzyola and Light caught us up, and here comes the heroic entrance. Only connects with Teknor, who doesn't mind. Cataclysm connecting with 3, and down goes Styled. This could be the opportunity for UTS, as Faulkner will be the next to fall. In fact, AVA is just getting run over. Teknor has to try and fuss away, but he will go down, and that is a no. He actually stays alive.
And that is just exactly like clockwork. Hyper gets onto Kai'Sa, Styled falls down, and UTS, they wipe the team fight. 3 members dead from the red side of the map, and they're just going to run it up mid.
Yeah, Hyper has been so good with these Cataclysms. Zippo, though, trying to get Hyper on that backplay, but unfortunately, Mr. Hyper stays alive, and the siege will continue. That will be the first inhibitor going down as Teknor is back on full health, but he cannot do much against the 4 members of UTS who want to bring this inhibitor down.
And they do finally get it. 3 tanks to shepherd the AD carry in. Hyper's just kind of sticking around, but if he shows his face, we'll just be one shot by the LeBlanc. So rightfully sits in a bush. As AV may actually just be looking to shepherd them out of the base here. Looking for some cheeky kills. Very nice of Fuzzyola to wait for his teammates before he takes that one over the wall. I like that play.
I've been on the wrong end of that one too many times.
Feels mega bad. Dragon may just be the consolation prize here for AV.
Yeah, it would be an Infernal Drake, so that's not a bad Dragon pickup
for a while, though, I think. Though,
no,
so.
yeah, I mean, they'll get the vision around, but whether or not they can contest it will be another story entirely. UTS, I feel like for the first time this game, they had a gold lead, but they've also quickly lost it within the past 30 seconds.
Yeah,
so.
A couple of camps go astray, as it's actually going to be a LeBlanc 1v2ing on the top side, so this might just be UTS giving up another Dragon. 3 already in the bank for AV, and look, with the Draven up there, with the Galio up there, Galio can probably get down with his ulti if it was available, but yeah, the concede once again is super interesting. I feel like Tim was saying it in the broadcast. First 2 weeks of OCS, we literally did not see an Infernal Dragon go uncontested. Yep. This day, we've seen a couple of them, and maybe a smart decision, right? UTS, they get so much vision control around the Baron. AV already conceded one earlier this game, so maybe just looking to set up for an objective they prize a little bit higher.
That said, though, there's no one there to defend that vision with Baron spawning within the next 10 seconds or so. So, like, it is a chance for AVA to definitely properly contest it right now. They are getting their vision set up. Taking a look at the map, though, Zippo has gone to the bot side of the map to try and get that slow push going. Does have teleport available. Hyper on the way down there as well. So with teleports, we could be seeing a fight, and I almost feel as if whoever wins this fight might actually take this game, because this Baron is going to be critical. It'll be the second one of the game.
Yeah, it could be that situation. Fight into Baron, into end that game afterwards. So, it's only going to be a big point. Big items have been picked up now.
Actually, they're trying to get to Cadence. Here comes the Cataclysm. No flash available. The heroic entrance is going to buy some time. The depth charge are connecting as well. As Steve Styles trying to get there, but he's unable to get to Cadence. Front lines combined as Faulkner has to go golden in the middle of everything. Zippo going in so deep is still unable to bring down Cadence, who's just wailing away. They take down Faulkner, and now a man down. AVA is looking to try and run away. Fuzzycola on the flanks is able to take down that Kai'Sa. Styled and Faulkner down. It's still a 3v3. Hyper trying to get onto Teknor as well as this LeBlanc. It is a shutdown. Zippo goes down. Mundo goes down as well. And it's Hyper versus Ripoli to end this fight. And in the end, Hyper is the last man standing. And he is the king with the triple kill.
UTS then into AV, then back into UTS. It looked like such a good start of the fight. Frolic almost one-man armies. He defends Cadence, the flashless Draven, in front of all the CC. Gets a very nice turnaround, but the tanks are just too great. It's Zippo being able to get back in, the last little Q to take down the Draven, and Hyper was just untouched the entire time. This guy is a monster, 9-2 on this Silas. It was literally the first pick in the draft, and he is making it work.
Yeah, Hyper is definitely having a stand-up performance. Unfortunately for UTS, yes, they win that fight. Yes, they get the ace, but it wasn't enough to end the game like we were possibly projecting.
They didn't get the Baron. It was a team fight into a top turret, so another opportunity surely will present itself in probably under a minute.
It means we're going to get more team fights. We're going to get more action, that's for sure. Pink's going down on that Baron. Hyper is actually backing in the pit right now. Maybe he's thinking I might catch someone out in that brief moment. I'm not too sure. He will back. He'll be safe, but resetting for this next fight.
That's a decap. Goes back, turns his... Oh, and a blasting one. He just had so much gold. Over 2k for the back end of that team fight. Now, 3,000 over his opponent. The Mundo was big earlier, but now the Silas is even bigger somehow. And yeah, Baron is still the big objective. All 10 members probably going to be on your screen in the mid lane again, and this will just be another team fight.
Yeah. who will get that initiation. I like the GA picked up on Styled as you take a look at the top of the screen. Let and Zippo
the
going at it.
Executioners finally has the component picked up, so Mundo significantly less of a threat to the Draven.
Definitely as Vision being secured right now for this all-important Baron. A nice little flag actually forces UTS to start it because otherwise they'd be taking damage. Let getting to work on it as already that Baron is so low. That Mountain Drake doing work. Oh, the depth charge is not there yet.
Silas
but the
is on the flank, though.
Let those going in aggressive. Silas on the flank right now. Teklar's actually quite low. They're trying to run away. Teklar is forced to flash Hyper on his own. Gets everyone in the Cataclysm, but goes down. Zippo picks up the kill on the damage dealer before falling himself to Fuzziolo. Rapoli in the middle of everything, quite low, trying to walk away, but Cadence gets that kill. Fuzziolo on the backside doing so much work. Cadence actually runs right into Teklar. It's quite low. Style doing a lot of work, and down goes this Draven. GA pop for Style. He'll be able to re-engage as this fight. Frolic trying to get to there, but is unable to before Fuzzy Cola goes down. It's actually a double kill for Zippo, and AVA wins the fight.
And multiple threats are just defending the AD carry. Zippo is just zip-zagging all over the place in and out of this fight, but Style was just untouched for 90% of that. Tekka is such a beefy frontline, and on the other side of the coin, we talk about if Style falls down, then AV's team fight crumbles, as does UTS. Hyper on a big flank uses the stopwatch to buy a little bit of that time, but he just died immediately. He couldn't get onto the Kai'Sa. The Kai'Sa runs rampant, and despite the scoreline, dished out so much damage there.
That said, they're only going to get one inhibitor off of this. No Baron, at least just yet. I would have thought they would have gone for more. However, just because of those death timers, definitely an exciting play happening right there. This game is so tense right now, and still no second Baron. I thought for sure it would be going.
Yeah, it's been another 2 team fights before this one has actually been taken down, so kind of interesting here. Could be the next objective, and certainly given the trajectory will be the case.
Yeah, AVA is definitely getting their vision set up around the Baron. They're actually going ahead and starting it at this stage. 4 members strong. As you take a look, Zippo is also trying to find the flank, trying to find that pick as UTS steps forward. Zippo actually finds it onto Hyper off camera, and without the Silas, that will be a Baron going over to AVA. They have the damage right now. The carry is gone. All they need to do is somehow find Cadence, and they can end this right now. UTS on the retreat. They cannot afford to take this fight, at least at this moment.
Yeah, and it almost seems so simple. If you're UTS, kill the Kai'Sa, you win the game. But on the other side, AV, you find Hyper. It's been 2 fights in a row, and they pick him up. They get the easiest Baron of their lives. It's just like standing in the pit, no jungle contest, and we're into a pause.
We're into a pause.
Yeah.
Desperation pause almost.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a timeout. You know, it's a basketball court, and the coach is just squealing from the sideline. But yeah, that's a Baron picked up for AVA. They haven't had one of those in a while.
No.
Was kind of hot property, and yeah, that's a big window into this game.
It is. I really like how AVA has really been able to take down this Silas within like these sort of last 2 engages before anything can happen. Like they've recognized he is the threat. We need to get rid of him. He's been hitting us with cataclysms with like 3 or 4 people time and time again. No more of that. Let's get rid of him.
It's kind of like the learning process over the course of the game. Because it's something like bigger to hit on when you talk about this is the best of 1. But if you look at like semi-finals, you get to finals at the end of the season, like best of 3, best of 5, like they get their own little meta. And in every game of League of Legends, like even smaller to an extent, like that's what happens. This game is trending in the direction of literally kill Kai'Sa, you win, kill Silas, you win. And it seems like AVA, they've been learning, right? This is 2 back-to-back targets. Zippo on the LeBlanc is just trying to find that Silas. If he finds the pick, team fight is easy.
Yeah, and like just before that Baron, he found that pick and got it clean. Like got in, got out, took care of the carry. They get that Baron, and now I imagine AVA is going to be setting up to try and end this game as soon as we get back into it.
Yeah, certainly the case. Interesting to see if they do it cleanly. Can they? Who knows? Certainly team fight opportunities back and forth. I want to ask, because we mentioned it, timeout, talking about basketball court.
Yep.
What's your sport?
Baseball and gridiron.
Oh,
I'm too American.
I'm
too American.
Most American
as we are going back into this game right now. Baron buff still on AVA. This has to be one of the longest games we've seen in the OCS so far this year.
Elder
Dragon's actually going to be the target.
Yeah. This is double super buffs here. Baron buff, now the Elder, and 4 dragons.
Yeah.
This is
double Mountain Infernal Elder Dragon as they're going to reset. They have to be looking for this game-ending fight at this stage in the match. I feel like Let is who I'm actually going to be looking for to try and possibly take down Styled, just with a good Glacial Prison with the follow-up perhaps.
Yeah.
But it's so hard. I feel like Styled has been playing so safe, especially with the cleanse and the flash available once more.
Yeah, and you have to kind of credit Zippo on AV, right? This guy is sitting at 14 stacks on a Medjai's, 11 kills to boot, 11, 1, and 6, having a very good performance. And every time we see Hyper falling down, it is at the hands of the LeBlanc and opening up space for Style to work. So AV just looking for the 4-1 split here. 4 members in the bottom side, just looking to pressure this as quickly as possible. Baron is there, Elder Dragon is there. Do UTS even defend this bottom inhib? You have to think, 4 Dragons Elder, this team fight is going one way, and it's certainly AVs.
But they have to defend somewhere. They can't just concede everything all the way to the Nexus, you would think. It's just going to be so hard to find that opening. Down goes that inhib turret, and I imagine that inhib is not long for the world either.
Oh.
Here comes the depth charge. The target was Faulkner, who doesn't flag and drag back into the team, although it kind of appeared he was trying to. Almost a little bit of a troll moment as the rest of AVA are going to rotate towards that top side. There's only one more tower not inside the blue side base, and it is not long for this world.
Yeah, it did get cancelled out of the EQ, and AV, as you mentioned, have their sights on top. There's 2 inhibs gone. Mid one will be spawning relatively soon, but they could just be ending with this push. Baron is still there. Elder is still there. The Elder doesn't last quite as long, but they have quite a ways left of this one. UTS, if their last stand is somewhere, it has to be on this inhib.
It has to be, but as you already take a look at the map, Zippo is still looking for that flank, still trying to find that opportunity to pick up Hyper and not even allow him in this fight right now. Actually, he's going all the way to bot.
Yeah, and I like that play, right? Like, push in that wave, get it done quicker, and LeBlanc coming from straight onwards, you're just going to get hit with a Sejuani ulti, hit with a Draven E. Like, you're not going to deal that damage. Looking for the flank is the right call out of Zippo. It's certainly a dangerous one and has to play smart, but this LeBlanc is so huge, and he's opening his team up to take this 3rd inhib.
And that will be the 3rd inhib down.
Oh.
They still have the Baron buff. I don't imagine they want to be leaving this base anytime soon. Zippo stepping forward, still trying to find that right pick. Actually does quite a bit of damage onto Frolic, who has to go back to the fountain. Small opening, at least for the moment, for AVA. You see Hyper does have the Cataclysm available. It has been a key ability for him in order to shut down Styled in the past. Perhaps he can find that pick again. But Zippo stepping forward again. Frolic chunks down to half health as the cannon minions are doing so much work to the towers right now. In fact, both Nexus towers are going to go down. UTS has something. There is Hyper gets on the Styled, who just jumps right out. The heroic entrance will not come in time, and already Hyper is dead. Once again taken down by Styled, and AVA is going to run straight through UTS. Frolic doing what he can in the front line, cannot take down Faulkner. Cadence goes down. That is a triple kill for Styled, and that will be the game going to AVA.
And almost out of nowhere, AV in a very even game, very back and forth. They get the lead, it's the Baron, it's the end almost immediately.
Yep.
And yeah, that was wild. That was like, that last team fight, you're like, okay, when is the engage coming? 1 inhib goes down, it's like, okay, like you can deal with that. 2 inhibs, it's like, okay, you better be thinking quick, but that was literally a Nexus turret. And then, like, Silas goes in, he looks for it, gets 1 hit by the Kai'Sa.
Like, Hyper, he tried to put the team on his back because he'd been doing so much so that game. Unfortunately, it was just too little too late.
Yeah.
Credit to AVA, though. Like, as soon as they recognize how to win these team fights, Zippo, just good.
Yeah, I think like over the course of that game, you could see like a genuine progression. Like as it set in, it's like, okay, like we've been trying some things. Like early game was a little bit rough, you know what I mean? Like Silas is getting so much priority, they're tracking the Jarvan around. As like they can't really find access into anything like that. But Tekka, like TP's into an early fight, gets a couple of kills. He now feels fine to be able to like deal with a Draven in a team fight. Zippo over the course of that game, sort of like the unsung hero, I think, like was picking up all those kills, but like Kai'Sa was like the front runner of those team fights, was like the target, and he's just off the side, picking on the Silas, picking off so many, and I think it really was a cohesive effort there from AV.
I'm so happy to see Amundo do well.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to see like that. The Mundo LeBlanc combo, just running it down mid, taking out tower after tower as well. Like,
in that little tag team at the end of that fight. Yeah, that was a banger.
So definitely AVA, fun to watch, and I hope they can carry on this momentum moving forward, because this is definitely a team that I felt was playing a lot smarter than what we saw the first 2 weeks.
So in the case, a couple of substitutions, new players here and there, but off the back of Amundo. Was a very good performance. So 0-2 turns into 1-2 for AV Academy. And don't go anywhere, guys. After this short break, we'll be back for more.